How many liberal promises can be broken? I'm Lilley with TheRebel.Media. We've been talking for months now about how crazy the liberal promise was to bring in 25,000 refugees by December 31st, 2015. That might be the first liberal promise that was broken. First, they reduced it to 10,000. Then they abandoned it altogether as they only managed a little over 6,000 by the deadline. They tried to save face by saying they identified 10,000 possible refugees by December 31st. But just remember, those of us that said it couldn't or shouldn't be done that fast were called racist. In the end, we were simply realists. But that, of course, was not the only broken promise of the Liberal election campaign. The latest broken promise has to do with immigration as well, and Trudeau's promise to double immediately the number of family reunifications accepted as part of our immigration system. Now, this primarily means bringing over grandmothers and grandfathers to Canada. Previously, the government had favored economic immigrants, younger people that could come in and contribute to the economy. But the Liberals said they would move from 5,000 grandmothers and grandfathers to 10,000. Now, the Liberals are saying they're going to stick to the old target. Once again, they cannot deliver. It's sad. I mean, maybe these promises should have been vetted during the election campaign rather than cheered on by the media, but they weren't. So what other promises are falling by the wayside? Well, we've got the promise to run small deficits of $10 billion a year. That's out the window, with some estimating we could see deficits of $25 million a year. But don't worry, small, short-term deficits, they never turn out that way. But don't worry, it's just an election promise. Now, plenty of Canadians voted for the Liberals due to their promise to do away with community mailboxes and bring back door-to-door mail delivery. Is that happening? Not a chance. Now, instead of promising to restore door-to-door services, well, the Liberals are simply saying they've put a moratorium on new community mailboxes. Are they going to restore service? They won't say. What about the CFA teens coming home? The Liberals said they would end Canada's participation in the airstrikes against ISIS. Now, after more than 2 months in power, there's no sign the bombing's going to end anytime soon. And asked about it, the Liberals won't commit to ending the bombing. Canadians were also promised that the Canada Pension Plan would be enhanced. Is that happening? Well, not anytime soon. Why? Because the provinces aren't on board, and you can't change the pension system without the provinces. Just ask the old government. Now, Justin Trudeau promised to do everything different compared to what Stephen Harper and the Conservatives did. In some ways, he's doing that. We have more selfies with the PM, more stories about the PM doing selfies with ordinary Canadians, and instead of Harper just meeting and talking to people and taking pictures with them without media stories, media fanfare. But on a host of actual policy issues, Trudeau is behaving just like Harper, but he's not being called out on it. Not on policy issues anyway. It's reminding me of Dalton McGuinty when he was elected Premier of Ontario in 2003. He made hundreds of promises, and he just walked away from them, unscathed by the media or the public. But you know what he did follow through on? His worst promises, his promise to be a progressive, high-tax, high-spend Liberal. And that's my fear with Justin Trudeau, that he will do the same, that he will follow through on his worst promises, not the ones Canadians voted on. He's going to hike taxes on the wealthy, even if that tax doesn't offset the so-called middle-class tax cut. He's going to hike EI premiums for workers, even though it means it'll stop employers from hiring extra workers. I warned people for a long time that if you liked what Dalton McGuinty and crew did to Ontario, you'd like what Justin Trudeau and crew will do to the rest of Canada. I hate being right, but unfortunately, Trudeau is following the same path. He's walking away from promises that don't matter, and he's going ahead with ones that will ruin the economy. Don't say you weren't warned.